everyone for coming today. My name is Liz Virgili from Trevor James Flutes, and here we have Hannah Occena, who's here today to present for us, which we're so excited to have her. Hannah lives here in the Kansas City area, is principal flute with the Topeka Symphony, and did your undergraduate at UMKC, right? And then graduate work at the Royal Academy in England.
Yes.
In London.
Yes.
So we are really excited to have Hannah here today. Going to be talking us through some great practice tips, and then we'll have a chance to try some of the flutes as well for anybody who's interested. All right, I'll pass it over to you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. So today I wanted to walk you through a basic daily practice routine, the different components that you should have to be at your best in all of the different areas of flute playing. So when I am working with a student, I recommend aiming for 15 minutes of practice every day, 5 days a week. 15 minutes of practice 5 days a week to see the most improvement. I mean, ideally, you practice every day of the week, but we all know that busy schedules and things get in the way, and so aiming for that time slot generally gives us quite a bit of improvement. So the first thing, when we take our flutes out of the box, the first thing that we want to get established is our bass tone, our bass sound. And several wonderful flute pedagogues of the past who wrote all of the flute method books recommend that we start with just playing a middle register B natural to start warming up our sound. So we and we establish that sound. We listen to how that first note is that we play. And then I think to myself, okay, that wasn't bad, but what could I do to make that sound even better? And I start experimenting with the vowels inside my mouth. I might aim for a little bit more of an ah sound. And then maybe more of an O sound to see whether I like the ah or the O today. And I'll play a nice long note so I can really hear what the sound is like, what my air support is like, and make little adjustments. And I'll play that note until I really feel confident in that sound. And once I end up with a sound that I really like, then I'll move on to a chromatic exercise. Slow descending chromatic scale and slow ascending chromatic scale. Repeating each two-note group twice. So the first time I play it, and I assess, well, did I have a good tone? Was my vibrato even? Did it sound smooth going from one note to the next? And on the second time, I make a little adjustment to try and make the second time even better than the first. And I'll work all the way up, and I'll work all the way back down. And you can see that in section B on your handout sheet. Would someone like to come up and get to try out one of the flutes and try this exercise out, or the first two exercises? Nice long tone B natural. Very nice. Now, can you put a little bit more sound in the flute? Get a big mezzo forte sound and try out a different vowel shape. See if you can find a different vowel shape that you like. Very nice. Yeah, okay. Now go ahead and do descending chromatic notes a la Moise number 1. Go ahead and do the repeat. there. This time, listen and see if you can make an obvious difference between the first and the second time. Do something so that you have a clear idea of what you want to improve between one and the next, okay? You can pause in between too if you need to think about it. Good, I'm going to stop you right there. Shift the flute just a touch lower on your lip. Okay, and now roll it out just a touch. Did you hear how the sound opened up when she did that? That's one thing about, thank you, Braylon. I'll let you off the hook. That's one thing about flute, the actual position of the flute on your lip can make a big difference in how the sound comes out, in the body of the sound. So if we have our flutes rolled in a little bit too much, I'm putting quite a bit of air into the flute, but it still sounds like something stopping it. Because there's just a little bit too much of the hole covered up. We're not giving ourselves enough room for the air to head into the instrument. So by rolling out just slightly, we get a better sound, a more open sound. As opposed to rolling in too far. I like to remind students when they're working on this particular thing that first we line up the flute, making sure that the tone hole and the first key are basically in alignment. And then by making sure that your fingers and the keys are parallel to the floor. A lot of times we'll sneak up and start playing with fingers up in the air, but that is when you'll be covering too much of the tone hole with your lips. So by making sure that your fingers are nice and parallel to the floor, you'll be able to better achieve that more open sound. All right, so now we've worked on the first note, kind of the opening sounds that you're making on the flute, and worked down the register by half steps and up the register by half steps. And I recommend alternating. One day you do down the register by half steps, the next day you do up the register by half steps, so that it doesn't take quite as much of a chunk of your practice time, because it can be long work to do that. Once we've done that, then I recommend doing what's called harmonics. And the flute and all of the notes on the flute are built on the harmonic series. In the short version is that when you play one fundamental fingering, I'm going to play an F natural, you can get several different sounding notes with just one fingering. And getting all of these different notes in that harmonic series help us to play both the low notes and the high notes on the flute, because we have fingerings for all of these notes in the harmonic series on F. That third harmonic is a C. The first two are Fs, the next one is a C, and we have a different fingering for it. But by getting that harmonic to speak, especially with young flute players, if we get them to overblow that F, put a note that they feel is comfortable, to that C, when it comes time to just play that C, they already have the air built up and they already have the lip position built up to get up to those higher notes. And it's especially helpful when we're going up into the highest registers to avoid getting a really pinched sound. Because when we're playing up in the very top registers, it's very easy on notes like that A to pinch your lips too closely together and get that really shrill sort of high sound. But by building it up from the bottom, we have to use our air more than our lips to produce that sound. And it allows us to keep a more open embouchure set. The aperture, the little hole in our lips, can stay more open because we've used enough air to get us up there rather than closing off and pinching off and getting that less vibrant, more shrill sound. So, working into our practice session, pick one note a day, one of your low notes a day, and play up a little harmonic series. Start with just 3 notes. F is a good note to start on. And see if you can get the sound, the notes to change by using mostly your air. Would anybody like to try a harmonic series? Yeah. All right, I'll just have you make sure the flute feels comfortable for you. Play a note or two. Good, very nice. So start on that F, that low F, and using your air, first get up to the middle register F, and then go one note beyond that. Very nice. Good. All right, this time I'm going to have you do the same thing one more time, and I want you to think about blowing out a birthday candle that's over by your mom's foot, okay? And how much air you would need to blow that out, how much fast air you need to blow that candle out, okay? Very nice. Now, this time, can you do the same thing, but not tongue in between the notes? Just slur it all up, okay? Good. Did you feel how much air you had to use to get that C out? Mm-hmm. Okay, one last thing. Play F, F, C, and then change to your C, your regular C fingering. How did that C feel at the top?
Felt like easier.
Yeah. So now can you just, using that same air that you just discovered, can you get that C to speak on its own? Just play that high C. Bravo. Very nice. Thank you, Emily.
Good job.
So that's something that you can use on a daily basis to start from those low, comfortable notes and get up to those higher notes that are less comfortable. And if you just pick one note a day, you go up an octave and then a fifth. And so if you can figure out, okay, what's, the octave, what's a fifth above that, you can figure out the note that's going to be at the top, and then practice between the harmonic fingering and the real fingering.